Hakadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Bava Kamma Daf Lamedaled Amud Aleph, 3481. Says the Gemara, Tanu Banan. Okay, we're a few lines down by the two dots, where it's 2, 4, 6 lines down. 2 dots. Okay? Tanu Banan, we learned in the Braita. Shor Shaveh Matayim. Shenagach, Shenagach, Shor Shaveh Matayim. So you have 2 oxen, right? Matayim. So one of them comes and he damages another shore, which is Shaveh Matayim. Okay? So what happens? The Chavalbo. So he comes and he hits him. A value of 50 zuz. Shevach, right? Shavach, right? Ve'amad 400 zuz. So now before it was Omed Badin, it was worth 400 zuz. Okay? Elmaleh Kiziko, as if it wasn't that he didn't damage him, right? Ayah Omed al 800 zuz. It would have been worth 800 zuz. So noten b'kishata nezek, you have to give it according to the nezek. Okay, so he has to pay 25 zuz. Because remember, this was a short tam that gored another, right? So that's why he's only paying half. Okay, kachash, right? If right now it went down in value because it became skinnier, so kishata madabedi. So one more time, you had short tam which is worth 200 zuz, gores another shore which is worth 200 zuz, and it damaged him 50 zuz. So it went down 50 zuz. So therefore the damage was 50 zuz. So how much you have to pay? Chetzi nezek, 25 zuz. Okay? Now, what?
But then...
So now what happens is, if it goes up to 400 zuz, so you cannot come and say, listen, I didn't make you lose anything. Right? Why? Because now it's even worth more than at the time of the damage. Imagine right now, you damage the car, and all of a sudden there's a shortage on cars, so the price of cars goes up. You can't do that. Why? Because if you didn't damage it, it would have been 800 zuz. The fact that you damaged it, that's why it's only worth 400 zuz now. So noten kishata nezek, you have to give it during the time of the nezek. Kachash, if it went down in value now, okay, you have to pay like amada bedin. That means you don't go down, right? You don't go down. Fine. Says the Gemara, shavach mazik, right? What happens now if the shavach shor mazik, noten lo kishata nezek? You give it during the time of the nezek and not more than that. Okay, but kachash, you give it like Kamadat Vidin, which means beforehand we were talking about that the short of the Nizak went up in value or down value. Now we're talking about the short of the Mazik is going up and down value or down value. Okay? So Amar more says, Shavacha Mazik, if right now the short of the Mazik goes up in value, no ten Kishata Nezek, you give like the time of the Nezek. Mani, who is this? Rabbi Ishmaeli, it's Rabbi Ishmael. Amar Balchov, who, as he says, you're Balchov. The Zuzehu, the Masiklet, so he just owes the money. And therefore, that's it. Ema kachash, but let's see the Seifa. The Seifa says kachash. What happens if he became skinnier? So now you go like Hamad Abedin. So that goes according to Rabbi Akiva. That he says they're considered like partners. So does it make sense to say that the Reisha is Rabbi Ishmael and the Seifa is Rabbi Akiva? That doesn't make sense. Usually we don't like saying those things. It doesn't make sense to say that the Reisha is like one person and the Seifa is like somebody else. So says the Gemara, no, you're right. Kula Rabbi Akiva. The entire thing is Rabbi Akiva. What are we dealing with? Which means the mazik came and he was like mefatim the shore. So therefore, since the mazik comes and he used the money in order to be mashbiach etzeh, so the nizak cannot take the chelek in the ashbacha. Meaning like this: right now, right, it damaged. After damaged, comes the mazik and he starts giving it to drink and to eat, and he starts making him all fat and good and jolly, right? He says, because this guy came and he started using his own money to appreciate its value, the Nizak can come and just take that away from him. It doesn't work. Okay? So says the Gemara, if you're going to tell me that he actually made him all fat, so let's see the Reisha. If it went up in value and it went to 400 zuz, he has to give him like the time of the Nezek. If he made it, not if Shavach, he made it fatter. He started giving it to eat, to drink, to this. So Rav Papa says, when the Reisha is talking about whether it happened on its own, that it went up in value, or you made it go up in value. When it comes to teach you, even if it went up in value by itself, you have to give him like the Shata Nezek. And the Seifa is telling you, the Seifa is only in the case where you made it fat. That means it's not that it came on its own and it became fat on its own. Now, we said that if it went down in value, kachash means like become skinny. So it means it went down in value. So it goes according to the Amad Abedin. Why did it become skinny? If you're going to tell me that it could because of skinny because of milacha, so Elmaleh, you could tell him, listen, you made him become skinny. So now pay. What? He says, what? Because you made him become skinny, I'm going to start paying you more? What's going on? So Ravashi comes and he says, Techachash, right? Mechamat makah. He says, no, he became skinnier, became weak because of the bruise. Meaning this animal came and he gored. And because he gored him, he started becoming weak. He started becoming, right? The Amar that he says, Kana the Torah kvirabe. He says, what? The keren of your shore is inside of him, which means it's still in his flesh. So you meaning that remember that many times a person could give a makar, he could give something, and many times it takes a little while until the body reacts, right? Do you know it's something incredible? That's why they always say that if a person gets into a car accident, they should many times go check. He said, why? The guy's walking around. Yeah, the guy's walking around, but all of a sudden, boom, it could hit him hard, and he doesn't even realize what hit him. You understand me? That sometimes they don't realize, but sometimes it's internal. Sometimes they're at the beginning because of the adrenaline, so they don't really feel anything, right? The adrenaline and but they don't realize what's going on. But really, they should actually go and get checked. Why? Because sometimes it takes an effect. I remember somebody once got into an accident, and the bruises only came, I think it was like a day later or 2 days, like it was mamash. You understand? Meaning, like it's not the simple stuff. You understand? Meaning we're talking about you understand? Fine. Mishnah. Lamedalad Mudalif on Mishnah. Towards the bottom of the page. It says in Mishnah, Shor Shavim Matayim Shenaga Shor Shavim Matayim. What happens right now if you have a shore which is worth 200, that goes another shore which is Shavet 200, the Nevela is worthless. So Amar Rabbi says Rabbi, Al Zen Ne'emar, on this it's written in the Pasuk, Machru et HaShor HaChai v'Chatzut Kaspo. Sell the shore, and you have to divide the money. So Amar Rabbi Yehuda says, V'chen halacha, that's for sure the halacha also, that's what you have to do. You have to pay Chatzi Nezek. Kiyamta Machru et HaShor HaChai v'Chatzut Kaspo, right? Velo Kiyamta v'gam et Met Dechetzun, yeah, but you have to divide the money, you have to divide the Met. So what are we talking about then? Shor Shaveh Matayim, Shenega Shor Shaveh Matayim, V'navila Yafeh 50 zuz. Each shore was worth 200. The one shore killed the other one, and the nevela is worth 50. Each one takes half. Each one takes half of the chai and half the met, and the other guy half the chai and half the met. That's what he's going to take. Okay? Until you were clear? Fine. Tana Rabbanan. We learned to the Braita. If we have one shore that's worth 200, of course another shore which is worth 200, and the nevela is worth 50, so we already said each one takes half of each, meaning you take half of the live one and half of the dead one, and the other guy takes half of the live one and half of the dead one. And that is the shore which is brought down in the Torah. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir says, and the shore another shore which is written in the Torah. אלא שור שווה 200 שנגח שור שווה 200 ואין הנבלה יפה כלום, על זה נאמר, on this is written, מכרו את השור החי וחצו את כספו. אלא מה אני מקיים וגם את מלך הסימון, גם את מלך החצון, פחת שפחתו מיתה. The said that was caused because of the מיתה. So he says, מחצין בחי. You're going to divide it in the animal which is alive. That's what we mean. So michti, let us see. What does this mean exactly that you're going to divide that which is because of the loss, because of the death, so then you're going to divide between the two of them. So Michti ben Rabbi Meir ben Rabbi Yehuda, that's when according to Rabbi Meir Rabbi Yehuda, it says Hay me'av 25 shakil v'hay me'av 25 shakil. It says each one is going to take 125. So my benai, so what's the difference between them? Yeah, if each one is going to take 125, right? So what's the difference between them then? What's going on? So he says Amar Rava says Pacha nevela yikabel. The difference is if it goes down value the nevela. So Rabbi Meir holds Pacha nevela goes to the nizak. Meaning he's the one that takes a loss. The one that got damaged, he takes a loss if the nevela went down in value. But according to Yehuda, pacha nevela is a mazik, right? He says the mazik avipalga is going to be, it's on the mazik, right? So there's a machloka, does it go to the nizak or to the mazik, right? Who's the one that takes loss? So Elmaleh Abai comes, he says, if so, matzinu Rabbi Yehuda, we found Rabbi Yehuda, right? Lamedala de Mubet, 34b, that he says tam is chamur min what? We just found a case where you have a tam that is going to be more chamur than a muad. This is why, because the pachat nevela goes on the nizak, and to do the short tam, you're saying according to Yehuda, the mazik has to pay half of this pachat. So it comes out that the shor tam is more strict than the muad. Yeah, can that happen? Now, if you're going to tell me, yeah, in Achanami, yeah, it does exist. Kiditznan, as we learned in the Mishnah, there's a Mishnah that says, Rabbi Yehuda says, Tam chayav muad patur. There is going to be a case where tam means is chayav in shmira meula. You need a good shmira, and the muad is going to be patur from shmira. Ema Deshaman Rabbi Yehuda, I only understood this to do a shmira, because it's written in the pasuk. Meaning, in the pasuk, it's actually teaching you, right, that it's the how much of a shmira do you have to put to it. So it comes out that a tam could need more shmira than a muad, right? That means a short tam could need more shmira than a tam muad. But to do it tashlumin, mishamale, did we ever hear such a thing? To do it tashlumin? But Tanya, we learned in the Braita, the opposite. Rabbi Yehuda says, Yachol shor shaveh mana shenegar shor shaveh chamesh slaim. I would have thought to say that if you have a shor that's worth 100 zuz, that gores a shor which is worth 5 zuz, and it killed him, and the nevela is worth 4 zuz. So zenotel chetzi v'chetzi amet, zenotel chetzi achai v'chetzi amet. Says what? Each one is going to take a half. It doesn't make sense. The nizak is going to, meaning you did a beautiful investment. Did you just understand what happened? Yeah, you guys just understood what happened. One more time. The guy comes and he has let's pretend it's cars, right? But it's exactly meaning the shores, right? You have a car, right? That's what he says here. There's a shore which is worth 100 zuz, all right, $1,000. That comes and gores a shore which is worth, right, 20 zuz. Okay. Now what happens is the nevela is worth 4 zuz. So therefore, right, what happens is the nezek, right, is how much? 16 zuz. So now you're going to tell me that each one takes half? Because
he's going to make 50, he's going to make 30.
Exactly. Extra. It doesn't make sense. Yeah? He says, Amarta v'chi muad l'ma yotze. So he says, what are we talking about now? The difference between a muad and a tam. When you say that a muad is to become machmir or to be mekel? It's to become machmir. So ma muad m'shal ma sheizik, tam akal lo kol. I don't understand. A muad pays what it damages, but it's not going to pay more than what it damages. So now you're going to tell me if the muad damages, it's going to pay what it damages. But now the tam damages and it's going to pay more than what it damages? Doesn't make sense. What's going on here? It was a beautiful investment. No. Some people, they do that, by the way. They come, they take these broken down cars. They come, they get it totaled, whatever it is. Then they collect tons of money from the insurance. They make the money. They make this. They make that. You understand? So he says, Rabbi Yochanan says, Shevach nevela ika benayu. It's Shevach nevela. What is the Shevach nevela? When it goes up in value. The more savar the nizak, umor savar palga. There's a machloka between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. Who gets the Shevach nevela? Remember, Shevach means that it appreciates in value. Who gets that money? According to Rabbi Meir, it's the nizak. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's half. Yeah, it's half. So says the Gemara, behind the kasha of Rabbi Yehuda, and that was the question of Rabbi Yehuda. Hashta damarta. Now you're going to tell me chas rachmana ilaved the mazik the shaki the shivcha, that the Torah was going to be chas and is the mazik and it's going to take the shevach. So Yachol, I would have thought to say shor shaveh chamesh slaim, shenega shor shaveh maneh. When you're going to take a shor which is worth 5 slaim, that comes and gores a shor which is shaveh maneh, which is 100 zuz, but nevela is going to be a feh 50 zuz. Right? Each one is going to take half. Amarta, you're going to tell me mazik sheniskar sheniskar. Where do we ever see in the world that because you damaged, you gain from your damaging? Where do we ever see such a thing? Doesn't make sense.
Lucky guy.
Huh?
Lucky guy.
Yeah, lucky guy. He damaged, he's lucky. So says the Gemara, Shalem yeshalem be'alim meshalmim ve'enam be'almim netulim. When it says Shalem yeshalem, it means that the be'alim, they have to pay, but they can never take. Meaning they have to pay. They can never take. It doesn't make sense. He just damages, he's going to take something. He has to pay, not to take. So my ve'omer, what does it mean in the pasuk? Ve'omer. Because we brought down like a pasuk, right? And it says ve'od, right? Ve'od, it's written in the pasuk, right? So he says, V'chitem, now you're going to tell me, that's only if the nizak is losing out. But if the nizak is not losing out, why? For example, a shor which is worth 5 slaim, which is 20 zuz, that comes and gores one which is worth 5 slaim. The nevela is worth 30 zuz. So Shaki Lami Mazik Rishivcha, what? He's going to take the Shavach as well. Ve'omer, he's going to say, Shalem Shalem. The Baalim Mishalmim, they're not going to take. Meaning, if you damage, you cannot take, you're supposed to pay. It doesn't make sense. So Elmaleh Rav Acha bar Tachlifa l'Rava. Im ken if so, Matzil Rabbi Yehuda, the tam meshalem yoter min chatzi nezek. The tam kopei more than chatzi nezek. Right? The Torah amra, the Torah says machlut shor v'chai v'chatzur kaspo. So Elmaleh Rabbi Yehuda, he comes and he tells Rabbi Yehuda, pachat shebachta mita machatzin b'chai. He says no, the pachat that it goes down by mita is actually going to be divided between them. He says there's only going to be chetzi me'afsed of the mitat ashor. Because that's what he says according to Shitav Rav Acha bar Tachlifa. So Menale, how do you know this? See, he says because it says on pasuk v'kamet meti chetzun, right? The met you also have to divide it. So he says va'apke. Says you took it out to Rabbi Yehuda, and he says zenu tel chetzi achai v'chetzi me'achai. Each one takes half. Says in Ken if so nichto kra ve'et meti chetzun. What does it mean v'gamet meti chetzun? Right? Right? V'gama meti chetzun. Shma mina tarti. Comes teach you the two different dirashot. Whether it's a Rabbi Meir or the tzad notel, that he's going to take half of it, right? So that's what he's actually coming and he's learning out, right, from such a case. Okay, fine. Mishnah comes and the Mishnah says as follows. Okay, the Mishnah says, "Yesh chayav al maaseh shoro upatur al maaseh atzmo." You know what could happen? That a guy is going to be chayav on the actions of his shor, and he's going to be patur on his own actions. And then there's going to be a case where he's going to be patur maaseh shoro and chayav on his own actions. Kate, so what's the case? Shoro biyesh. What happens if the shor was mevayesh a person? The shor came and he embarrassed the guy. It's going to be patur, right? But if you were mevayesh, you're going to be chayav. Shoro simet en avdo. If your shor comes and blinds your servant, he took out his tooth. It's going to be patur. But you do it, you're going to be chayav. You have to let him free, right? Shoro shechaval ba'aviv imo. If your shor comes and it damages his parents, he's going to be chayav, right? He's going to be patur. Why? Because he gets killed. We're going to speak about it, right? Vehu shelik, right? Et agadish. Shoro shelik et agadish b'shavat chayav. If the shor comes and lights the gadish, it lights up the flames on the field. He's going to be chayav. But if he does it, he's going to be patur. Why? Because he gets killed. He's going to be chayav with his nefesh. That's what the Mishnah says. Let's just start the Gemara. The Gemara says, "Tani Rabbi Avu, command Rabbi Yochanan." They taught in front of Rabbi Yochanan, "Kol mekalkelim peturim." Do you know, anytime that you're going to be mekalkel on Shabbat, you're always going to be patur. Many times it's still asur, but it's patur because you're doing something bad. Remember, on Shabbat, it's always you have to have a tangible, something positive, not something negative. If you did something negative, so you're going to be patur. It's called mekalkel. Okay, except for chovel umavir. The only two which is considered really damaging, but you're going to be chayav, is going to be what? Chovel and, right? Chovel and mavir. You're making a fire. Because when you consume, you make a fire, technically speaking, you're damaging. But still, right? And also the chovel, you're damaging something. So Elmaleh, he comes and he says, go teach us outside, right? Except for chovel and mavir. Why? It's not a Mishnah. If you're going to tell me it's a Mishnah, chovel betzarich, right? Lekalbo, mavir v'tzarich leefro. What are you talking about here? Chovel, that you need we're talking about here that you have to give it to, meaning your chovel in order to give it to eat to your dog, or you're going to be mavir in order to use the efed, because then it is tangible. Meaning that's considered like menachat sicha legufa, because you need it. You're going to benefit from it. But just like on Shabbat, that's what we say. Mchabet aner mipnei shuv patur. Right, but if it's going to be chayav, you're going to be chayav. Right? Why? Because then you want it. You're going to gain from it. So tonight we learned in the Mishnah. Shoro shelik et agadish b'Shabbat, you're going to be chayav. But if he's going to do, you're going to be patur. Ktani hu tumya the shoro. So he's going to be like the shore, just like the shore the lo kabayle. Right? The shore he does not actually come and need dafar. So to here also he doesn't need dafar. Ktani patur mipnei shudon min shor. He's going to be killed. Okay, this is where we're going to continue with Hashem tomorrow.